Welcome to Desperately Seeking the 80s. I am Meg.
And I am Jessica. And Meg and I have been friends since 1982. We got through middle school and high school together here in New York City, where we still live.
And where we podcast about New York City in the 80s. I do Ripped from the Headlines.
And I do pop culture.
So lots of things happened in the news this week, but I just want to draw attention because we did the moral majority story last week.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is like picking a fight with the Pope?
And making images that make him Jesus.
I mean, he just didn't listen to our podcast this week. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done that because guess what? Catholics don't like that so much.
It's like I want to comment in a serious and thoughtful way, but Meg, I just can't. Like, when do you draw the line? Like, this is cuckoo bananas and cuckoo bananas, we're going to acknowledge it. But we can't pull it apart. There's no way. There's no way. Other than the guy who I follow on, I mean, there are many people who I follow on Instagram who do all kinds of diagnoses all the time. But there's one in particular I've talked about him before.
Didn't he say he was going to be dead in 6 months?
Well,
but that was a while ago.
No,
that
but
was more than 6 months ago.
Hilariously, he chimed in like, I guess yesterday, maybe today. It was like, because someone else was saying, wow, this is really, he must have dementia. And the guy was like, sorry. Yeah. And the guy was like, see, I've been saying it forever. This is next phase. This is the next phase.
I'll take it. If it's progress, I will take it.
Look, even if it's just to keep his numbers up that he's saying it, it's still one step closer to maybe the old heave-ho. I don't know. But also, by the way, I just want you to know that speaking of the 80s, when I looked at the Trump Jesus, I can't even say it out loud, the Trump Jesus photo.
Velvet painting.
Do you remember? It looked like the Benetton ad with the AIDS patient.
Oh my God.
The composition is so similar. And I was like, did he internalize that a really long time ago? And now we're like, what the fuck is that? But it reminded me of the Benetton ad.
Okay, well, I'll have to look that up.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
And there was another thing. I was reading a book that I think is from the 80s or 90s. And you know, I read at night so I can pretend that I'm going to fall asleep. I forgot what it was. But it was hilarious because one of the characters was like, you know, you need someone really, really sleazy. And someone was like so-and-so. I was like, no. Like Donald Trump. And it was from like
back
the 90s.
then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was just like, oh, see,
We always knew.
We always knew. Jesus.
So today we're going to do another segment of Book Talk.
Not book talk. Book
No.
talk. Book talk. Yes, very exciting. I really enjoyed reading our book because I haven't read it since I was a child.
Exactly. So what we decided to do was read a Judy Blume book. And Judy Blume was huge for our generation.
Definitive.
Yeah. And I actually started asking around. Like I asked Joe, who grew up in San Diego and was a boy, if he knew about Judy Blume. And he did, but he hadn't read the books we read. He read like Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. And then I asked my friend Jennifer, who is in New Jersey. Judy Blume is from New Jersey. Of course, she knew of Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And that is the book that we decided to read for today's book talk.
Yes. And it was a pleasure. Although I'll tell you something really funny. The first thing is I downloaded it from Libby, from the New York Public Library app.
Okay.
Because I have a library card.
I didn't know you could do something like that.
Yes. And this is the first time that I've done it. I got it, my library card with this in mind, promptly forgot for like a year and a half. And then I was like, oh my God, I wonder if I can get it this way. And there it was. And
This
then I
is
was
like a public service announcement,
yes,
Jessica.
it is. And then I
Get
was
the
like,
app.
why would I do Kindle Unlimited when I have the New York Public Library Unlimited? So yes, it's my PSA.
And they've digitized all of them? A lot of them, I guess.
Look, if I could immediately get Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, I'm imagining that it's a vast collection.
So I know I don't have to ask you an engagement question because you read the book. Obviously, you're engaged. But I have a question, nevertheless.
Very excited.
Did you keep a diary?
Meg, you know me really well. And so what I'm about to say is not going to surprise you. I tried and then lost interest. And then I had another one and lost interest. I really liked the diaries, like with the puffy covers and the little key, the lock, and the whole thing.
You betcha.
I was very enchanted with the physical stuff, but like
the consistency.
It was consistency, and also I was kind of like, for whom am I doing this? Like, is this posterity? Like, it wasn't how I was processing anything as a kid.
Also, this is what I remember. I had a similar experience with the diaries, was that I didn't think that anything that was happening in my day was particularly important. So every entry was like, yeah, I just went to school today. Like nothing really happened. So that became sort of frustrating. And also because the diary I had every day numbered. And so when you missed a day, that just felt kind of like I don't like that so much. Now I have to go back and remember what happened 3 days ago. It's a chore.
I'm going to tell you something about when I was a kid that is going to make you feel that, I don't know, it's part of this feeling of like, I'm always going to be behind. I have to catch up. I remember having, this is also a sign of exactly how neurotic I am. Surprise. But when I was a kid, I was really anxious about reading the newspaper because I was like, whatever article I read, I'm not going to understand it because I have to read what came before. And I was in a constant state
that's a lot
with the New York Times as a child. Like, I'll never know what's happening in the world. And so I eventually got over that. But I felt the same way about the diary with the catching up.
This is the other thing that happened. I did write some things in my diary, and guess who read them?
Oh, God. Which parent?
My mother. I don't think my father could have given a shit. But my mother definitely read my diary and was asking like very pointed questions. And I'm looking at her like, you think I don't know what you're saying right now? You obviously read my diary.
Well, thank God what you were writing was so mundane.
Well, I was a child. Nothing.
There was nothing.
It was like a crush that I had. You know what I mean? It's just, but it was very personal.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yeah. She's listening to this right now.
I know that. This is why
this is the first time I have not ever said this to her face. And now I'm going to have to tell her, yes, indeed, I could tell that you read my diary.
Oh.
You weren't fooling anyone.
God, you know what that reminds me of, though? I assume that you watched Dairy Girls.
No, I didn't. I know. It's on the list.
The whole series opens with a young, I guess they're seniors or juniors, reading. It's like she's reading from her diary saying, this is who I am. This is where I live. This is my life. And then it's no longer a voiceover. It's her cousin reading her diary for fun.
That is such a good opener.
It is.
Love that.
Throughout the whole series, Orla keeps on reading her diary, everyone has to do a book report at one point. You see that Orla has her diary as the book report. It's so hilarious.
Oh my God. That is brilliant. Okay. So back to our book.
Okay.
We are doing a book talk about Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume, which I remember reading, I believe, in 4th grade. Does that clock?
That Margaret was in 6th grade in the book. So I think 4th grade
So
is
you're reading
right.
about somebody who's a little bit older than you are. Now, this is my second engagement question, Jessica.
Okay.
What was your big takeaway as a grown woman? What did you think that book was about before you reread it? Like if I were to say to you 2 weeks ago, what is the theme of Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret? What would you have responded?
I really would have said just tween angst. And
but what specific angst?
Like period angst.
Period.
Yes.
That was mine too. I was like, I thought the entire book was going to be about her waiting for her period. How shocked was I to realize it's actually
about
religion.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Well, and it's right there in the title.
I know. And it went over my head, over my little 4th grade head, that it was in fact about religion.
Well, and that I too in 4th grade thought that her discussions with God were basically the diary. And it's like, no, that's a child experimenting with prayer. Okay. Oops.
Oh, and I did think when I first started reading it and she mentioned something Jewish, I was like, Margaret? I don't think I've ever met a Jewish person named Margaret. And then it's revealed that her mother is Presbyterian and her father is Jewish. And when the two of them got together, the grandparents were not fans of the union and the parents decided to have an agnostic home.
Right. But I don't think that both sets of or sides of grandparents were against it. Hers were because they cut her off because how dare you marry a Jew?
Right. And of course,
his mother was like accepting because she had the awareness that you don't cut your family off.
And clearly the heroine of the book in many ways, the relationship between Margaret and her father's mother, that grandmother, paternal grandmother, is, I mean, it brings tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful.
It is absolutely lovely.
But clearly she doesn't have a great relationship with the parents because the parents are like, how did she know where you were? Like they moved without even telling her. They didn't give her their address.
They did because she shows up.
And they're like, how did she get here? How did she find you? I mean, I don't think they're trying to themselves.
No. I think you're misremembering something. It was that the grandmother doesn't drive and like she doesn't like to leave Manhattan and she doesn't like to take trains. And so there's all this stuff. And I think the whole thing, when they said, how did she get here? It was like, we never thought she'd leave the island of Manhattan. It wasn't, do you know where we live?
Right. Okay. Well, in any case, like it's not warm and fuzzy with the parents.
I think that there is such a huge distinction between her parents and his mother that
true. Oh yeah.
Like that's
the Presbyterian grandparents appear towards the end of the book and they're just awful.
Yes. So just to go back a little bit. So in this book that I and you remembered as a book about when am I going to get my period, and hilariously, I did vividly remember that one of the girls lies and then gets found out and it's like really embarrassing and all horrible. And I must have gotten such like a secondhand cringe off of it that this many years later, I was like, oh, this is coming up. Oh no, I don't like that. Anyway, so that's this girl goes from Manhattan to New Jersey. It's 1970. Did you know that?
I did.
The book came out in 1970?
Yeah.
You know, the great suburban move, the diaspora to the suburbs. You know, you watch this little girl get her new group of friends and what they're like and, you know, how she relies on her grandmother for counsel. Her parents are really lovely and they're well-meaning, but she connects with her grandmother and you just like liking boys and figuring that out and figuring out that the boy who's the cutest is definitely not the nicest.
But this is the other thing as far as that was concerned. All of the assumptions that they are all bringing into the situation about boys and girls liking each other or being interested in each other. It felt like they were being told that that's how they should feel rather than having it happen organically. There's just a lot of cultural stuff going on where it's like, ooh, the cute boy, or, it's like, I'm kind of young for that.
You felt that the parents were doing that?
The entire culture was doing it.
Oh, at the time. Yeah. I mean, it was very heteronormative. If you don't like a boy, then what are you doing with yourself? But back to your original point. So the book, that's what we took away as kids. The book is about this. So she's asking God, what should I be? What religion?
Be Christian? Should I be Jewish?
And that was my takeaway about pressure. The pressure that I was most affected by in the book wasn't that she, who are you going to like? Or are you going to kiss someone in, 3 minutes in heaven in the closet? It was, well, what are you? And what are you was hinging on religion. And like, you have to take a side. And that was the other thing. At one point in the book, someone even says, pick a side. And I thought, oh my God. And then she has to write a paper about something personal for her homeroom teacher. And she tries to write a whole paper, but just writes a letter about it. But she says in the letter, I experimented with going to church. I experimented with going to synagogue. I tried to go to a confession. And I didn't do anything Buddhist or Hindu because I don't know those people. And I was like, go Judy Blume. For in 1970, at least like acknowledging
that there were other religions out there. The other thing she talks about is, so she has moved to the suburbs from New York City. And when Margaret was in New York City, religion wasn't a big deal. She didn't feel like she had to take a side. But moving to the suburbs, one country club is for the Jewish people and one country club is for the
Christian,
waspy people.
Yeah, waspy people.
So yeah, that's one of the other things. Like, what the little girls are going like, well, where are you going to go on Saturday and Sunday? What do you mean? Like, how are you going to spend your life if you don't know which side you're going to take? And that was new in New Jersey, was not her experience in the city.
And what I loved as sort of Judy Blume's commentary on, is it really all that different anyway, is that when she goes to church and she goes to synagogue, she's so bored that she counts the hats that are in the pews in front of her, like this many black hats, this many green hats, and one leopard print. And that her father sort of laughs when she tells him this. And he's like, that's what I did too.
I did
like,
that
that's
too,
what
yeah.
it is to be a kid, at whatever, your Sunday services. And what I thought was really great about the book, and what I saw about Judy Blume as a writer, and sort of was able to see as an adult why she was so popular. Like, why was Judy Blume the queen of tween and teen books?
YA.
She wrote about such sensitive issues in such a breezy way. And even though the child's voice was, a very precocious child, it was so not scary. They were questions, and they were hard questions, but there wasn't anything that would freak a kid out. It was challenging, but not offensive. It was thought-provoking, but not scary.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, okay. And obviously kids would like these, but the parents are the ones buying them. So why were they okay with it? And I thought that was pretty interesting as an adult to be like, okay, your success was rooted in this very special skill.
Sorry, but going back to the idea that the culture is making these kids in 6th grade worry about whether they like boys or not, it's also making them worry about whether they're wearing a bra or not, or if they should wear a bra. If you weren't being put in that position, would you care? It's because the culture is telling you that it's stressful and that when you go to the department store, maybe you should be embarrassed. And it's the secret club that she joins with her friend Nancy, who makes all these rules. Nancy is the head of the club and is pretty bossy. And she's saying, well, you have to have a list of the boys that you like every single week, and everybody has to wear a bra. I mean, all of this is pressure that if you were taken out of that context, you wouldn't necessarily feel if your body is changing. It's the culture that's putting the stress on it.
And so you felt that Nancy was kind of the representation of the culture, because she's the one who sets who sets them all up to do or not do something.
Also the liar.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of important to have this position of authority that causes some anxiety in Margaret's life. Her peer who's telling her what she's supposed to do, when and how, and whether it's good enough. Pop that balloon, basically. Why would you feel like you had to lie about getting your period, Nancy? It's because you have a lot of anxiety and you are putting it on other people.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, the whole toxic friendship concept was in there. I mean, she packed a lot into the book.
Oh my Lord.
There's boys, peer pressure,
boobs.
Boobs, period. She also, she talks about her mom. Her dad doesn't really get discussed much. But she talks about her mom.
You sort of picture him like behind his paper every morning in, Leave It to Beaver kind of.
Yes. But
situation.
What I thought was interesting was that the character sees her mother as a person, not as just as an authority figure, because the way that she's described, and of course, even though it's all described through the child's eyes, is the mother's unsure. What furniture should I get? Oh. I'm in this new house and it's much, my life is much more comfortable than it was before because now he's earning more money. So what am I going to do?
And also intimidated by her mother-in-law. But from child's perspective, we can just kind of read between the lines now. I wonder if we read between the lines when we were in 6th grade.
Absolutely
or
not.
4th grade.
I wouldn't
right?
have even paid attention to what the mother was or wasn't doing. It would have just been sort of backdrop.
It's very delicately put in there.
Yes.
And sorry, I'm going to come back to it. Poor Laura. Again.
Oh,
okay.
God, Laura Danker.
Yeah. So Laura Danker is in this 6th grade class, and she has matured sooner than other people. So she's got boobs. And the rumors about her are running rampant. And again, Jessica, that is about the culture. The fact that the boys, everyone's saying that the boys are making out with her behind, the gas station or something. It's all a lie. That the girls are like, ooh, I'm sure that the teacher is looking at her strangely. I don't believe the teacher was looking at her at all.
Agreed. Actually, what I thought was interesting is that the only people who made up rumors about Laura were the girls.
That's true. The boys
didn't. Yeah, the boys are the ones who are at the end, he's like, Moose says, do you believe everything you hear?
Right. No. So good on the boys, actually, in this situation.
Yeah. But yeah, Laura Danker, oh God, that poor thing. You just, there's always that kid. And I remembered who that kid was really vividly from Fleming. And I was like, oh my God.
Because that is awful. I mean, I was not that kid. You were not that kid. But there was a kid who had boobs before anyone else did. And whatever the discomfort is about that for other people, the way that those girls are spoken about and treated is so different. And that's going to mar them for the rest of their lives. Don't do that.
Yes, do not objectify girls. Bad.
Well,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm agreeing with you.
The fact that when we read that, we knew not only what was coming, oh dear, poor Laura Danker, but also had examples in our own lives of a poor Laura Danker, that says a lot about this fucking culture. I'll say it again.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I was thinking of one girl from Fleming, but then I remembered another. Because I was so little, I was not hitting puberty early in any way, shape, or form. I remember just like noting that that's what was going on, like the girl who had boobs and people, how they treated it. But I just paid it no mind. Like it was so completely outside my sphere of concerns that I was just like, okay, whatever. And I never cared. I never gave like, I really didn't care about, like, when am I going to get boobs? When am I going to look like a woman? The only thing I cared about regarding getting my period was, oh, please, God, don't let me get it in a way that's going to be horrible and embarrassing. And that is exactly what happened. So that was like the only thing that I was like, oh, let this not be. But it was at an all-girls school. So also, like, I got off really easy. But those were not things that I ever cared about. And so that urgency to be grown up, to be able to fill a bra, I was just like, whatever, I'm doing my own thing and reading a book and
right.
whatever.
But if you were in a secret society that was telling you that that was important, then you might have felt differently about it if you were getting a lot of peer pressure, which is what happens in this book.
Yes, I never got that from my friends. There were always mean girls. You know, camp was always a mixed bag.
Oh my God, we can't talk about camp.
I'm not going to.
It's too hairy.
But you know, they were not nice. But yeah, I didn't. It didn't take it personally. I didn't internalize it. It was more like, oh my God, these are horrible people, and how do I just avoid them?
Okay, I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
So you know how they practice kissing, because we also have to talk about the first kiss. The first kiss is in this book, right?
Yes. I love how she the interaction with Norman Fishbein in the bathroom. And by the way, just quickly, the name Fishbein had me on the floor because in law school, my study partner, lovely guy named Neil, his last name was Fishman, but our German contracts professor insisted on calling him Mr. Fishbein all the time. And I was just like, I'm crying laughing. So when I saw Norman Fishbein, I was like, oh my God, I love it so much.
So before she has her first kiss, one of her friends is practicing kissing on a pillow. I mean, okay, let's just say it. The book does not give great advice. And I never quite understood how to practice kissing with a pillow. Did you ever practice kissing with a pillow? Because it doesn't make sense. That is why.
Again, at Fleming, there was a boy named David Leichman who was in my class and who decided unilaterally that he was my boyfriend in 2nd grade. And I remember I had been out sick, and then I got to school. I will never forget this. And I walked in, and he came right up and kissed me on the mouth.
Oh my God, your first kiss was in 2nd grade?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I was so furious. I was like, oh, how dare you? And I like refused to speak to him again. I was like, that was not consent. No, it was not consent. And, you know, people were like, ooh. And I was like, there is no ew. No. Wrap it up. Not happening here. So the whole first kiss thing, like, wasn't, again, like, sort of wasn't like a thing to achieve. And then when I was 12, that all started kicking in at camp. And yeah, again, like, it didn't faze me. I feel like my traumas were so deep and in other areas that this all was kind of like, whatever. Okay, fine.
Okay, so the second ridiculous piece of advice that comes in this book that I took on face value was we must increase our bust. We must increase our bust, which I, honest to God, had not thought about in decades.
Since you watched Grease? Because they do it in Grease too? Yes.
Did they really?
Yes. At the slumber party. They're doing the exercise.
They're doing the exercise, but did they say it out loud? I don't think
they say something. It's not the same chant, but similar.
That doesn't work. Maybe it does.
What it does is they're working out their pecs.
Right.
So I guess
it's like
It's like,
kind of
you're
like the thigh
building up
master for your
chest.
torso. I don't know.
No, of course it doesn't work. It's ridiculous. But yeah, like the mad ridiculousness that kids do to be grown up. I mean,
I'm going to say it again, and you're going to be so annoyed with me.
I'm not annoyed with you. What?
The fact they talked about Playboy magazine. Again, it's the culture. And the fact that the dads all had Playboy magazine that's completely normalized. And when they open up the centerfold of the Playboy magazine, that is the body. And it's an 18-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
That is the body that they're like, oh my God, is that what I'm supposed to look like? I mean, I think Judy was doing that on purpose.
I think she was saying not good.
Not good.
Yeah. No, I agree. That struck me as well. That was not, although I will tell you that babysitting as a young teenager, it was always like, did you find the parents' porn? There was always a stack of magazines someplace.
Well, where are they?
Yeah, and I remember always being like, jackpot, found it. All right, now I know. Now I know your shame. I know you keep your shame under the bed. The Playboy thing was, I don't even think about condemning the father character so much as
it's not the father, it's just the culture.
Yeah, it's just a commentary. But yeah, I loved it. What was funny though, and the reason I brought up the Libby thing at the beginning is that I started with chapter 1 and I scrolled a tiny bit. I went to the next chapter and I was like, wait, where are the other words? Like, is this a weird thing with Libby? Like, are they only giving me a partial? And then I was like, oh, there's short chapters for children. There are 25 of them, but
you can get it done in 15, 20 minutes, like, for a kid right before they go to bed.
Yeah, I read this book in one sitting. And I guess the other thing that's sort of interesting to me, it didn't occur to me until the second, is that I can barely remember anything right now. Like, I'm so distracted and I'm like up in my own head about so many things. I remember so much from just now reading this book. Again, well done, Judy. So meticulously timed. Like all of the details, like she doles it out in a way that is genuinely memorable, and like the scenes, they're very vivid. And so I was like, wow, I can't believe that I'm remembering things like this perfectly.
Did you know, I'm sure you do, that she is one of the most censored authors in history?
I did not know that. I know that she had been very censored, but I didn't know in history.
And the reason is because
she's poisoning young minds.
Yeah, people think, moral majority kind of people, call back from last week, think that sex education is a bad idea. What? How? I mean, I know it's a no-brainer, but especially when you read a book like this and go, what if she didn't know? To go through life in complete ignorance about what is happening to your changing body is criminal.
Yeah. I mean, I felt that way at 50. Like, no one told me. Like, my ass is going to do what? I'm fat. Why? I'm very warm. Why am I so warm? Like, just all of those things. It's, I've been referring to menopause as the second puberty for a couple of years because that's what it feels like. And it's the same cloud of unknowing, the fog that you sort of have to make your way through. And you're like, I guess this is what I'm dealing with. I hope it's not cancer. Like, I hope it's not something that's killing me. Oh, it's just menopause. Oh, okay.
Well, okay. Here's an interesting comparison. So in the book, the girls are all excited to get their period. And now, as women in their 50s, is there anything we're supposed to be excited for? I don't feel like that's the message we're being given right now.
I felt that having no more period was the greatest thing that ever happened.
But they don't say that.
No.
They say it's going to be awful, and they're wrong.
No, it's the best thing ever.
Agreed.
It's like being a person again. instead of like a ball of weird cramps and hormones and frankly, am I pregnant? Do I want to be pregnant? I don't want to be pregnant. What if I am pregnant? Oh, God.
I mean, look, it's a mixed bag for a bunch of reasons, but let's just say I think that there's something to be said for spinning it in a positive way, and I don't hear a lot of that.
D'accord. Yes. But yeah, so surprisingly, a very enjoyable book, even as an adult. And as a quick aside and a nod to one of the true BFFs of the cast, Judy Blume's agent was our dear friend Nick's dad.
So is Nick going to tell us all kinds of cool things about Judy Blume?
I am Nick. I know you're listening. I know that he's going to write in with something, and it will be exquisite.
Looking forward.
Indeed.
So, ever since we reached 50,000 downloads, Jessica,
yes,
our podcast has somehow been shared with more people or a different kind of algorithm or something because our numbers have shot up, which is amazing. So welcome to the podcast, all you new people who are listening to us.
Welcome.
Welcome.
And do let us know if you're a new listener. Could you reach out and let us know how you came to find us?
Yeah.
Because that would be really instructive if we came through an algorithm or I don't know what, like
search or something.
Who knows?
And also, if you have any ideas for stories that took place in the 80s in New York City, let us know and we will look into them at our earliest convenience. And we are having a party to celebrate our 50,000th download at KGB Red Room at 85 East 4th Street in the East Village on May 14th, 7 to 9:30.
Woo!
Party.
Party.